Before there was standard pitch, it was just common knowledge for the sympathetic resonance of our consciousness to resonate with 432 as your A. Now, tuning to A is a relatively new thing. It just so happens that the A was closer or around 432. Now, when it became standard, they wanted to figure out what was the easiest frequency to play to. And they thought, okay, everyone's sharp, so let's make the standard sharp. Okay, so, but they wanted to know at what point does sharp become flat? Like if you keep raising the frequency, at what point is it gonna change? Okay, so there's an 8 hertz spacing. Okay, so you have 432, 440. Now 440 is just sharp enough for you to be able to recognize the note as it's called. If you go up another 8 hertz, it changes the frequency. It turns the A into an A sharp, which is a B flat. But if you go up another 8 hertz, then you can still make your instruments resonate the specific frequency, but it completely shifts. It's not hard to recognize anymore. If you go to 456 hertz, then that's an obvious B flat. So if you start on C in that tuning, so you can still make it sound like a tune, and unless you have absolute pitch, it won't drive you crazy. Now, people today that have absolute pitch, they're very limited in their ability to recognize specific frequencies. They can tell you what the note is, the range of the note, but they can't tell you whether or not it's sharp or flat, or even if you're pushing one note or the next, if it's 50 cents off. So I'm just going to go up and play the chromatic scale. Relatively, it sounds right, but I'm going to start on C and I'm going to end on C, and you're going to hear how, as your ear develops to be able to hear the specific saturation of the note, of each note, you're going to be able to hear how it really is shifted. You'll hear how it like folds in and out, but relatively it's in tune. So at what point, if everything's just relative, at what point is one specific wavelength range of the tone going to turn into the next? Now, you can call yellow orange if you want to. You can call 448 hertz an A if you want to. But that doesn't change the fact that 448 hertz comes from the 7th harmonic, which is a B flat. And when you go slower, the temperament will seem to change when it really doesn't. Now, this is a really inconsistent way to play. I'm not expecting anyone to be able to play this sharp and be able to have any sort of tone quality whatsoever. So put your tuner to 448 hertz and experiment with those tunings, those frequencies, and then go up another 8 hertz to 456 hertz, and then experiment with those and figure out at what point one note becomes the next. Now, Mozart was a Freemason, and right before he died, he figured out the seventh harmonic. He was one of the first people to start using 448 hertz. Now, if you just do your research, it'll all make sense. Now, 448 hertz is not an A, but they were able to make their instruments without changing the tubing, just observing the natural harmonic law. They were able to fix their instruments to that tuning. But now, after 2012, they were making the instruments to play sharp. They made the instruments to resonate at 456 hertz. So if you don't know that, then you need to push in all your tuning slides and figure out these natural harmonics. Now, the space range between the specific hertz frequencies will make a greater change rather than the temperament you choose to tune to. So if you're going to tune to 456.1 hertz, that 0.1 hertz is not going to change or be able to be recognizable to the human ear, okay? But 456.1 hertz in equal temperament will give you your B at 512 hertz. So it completes the octave. It starts with 512 being C, and it ends with 512 being B. Now you can keep going up, and then eventually that C will turn into a B flat, and then it'll turn into A. But the specific wavelength of each frequency, of each color, of each note is not going to change. Yellow is always going to be brighter than blue. You can call orange green and purple red if you want to, but that's not going to determine the specific wavelengths. Now, I hope that provided some clarification on some things. Now, just go through, set your tuner to 448 hertz, and listen. Try to tune to that. And if you're still sharp, put it at 456 hertz, and then get relatively in tune to that, and then gradually start bringing the pitch down until you can find standard pitch. Now, when you have absolute pitch, it doesn't matter where you put your tuning slide. You can always find 440 hertz just because it's around in the middle.